Today's trip was a pretty rad ride from Sisters, Oregon all the way over to Detroit, Oregon. For those of you that aren't really familiar with the area, it kind of follows a little bit along the Oregon BDR route, the fifth section there. It starts off kind of just outside of Sisters on what's actually known as the Old Santiam Wagon Road. This used to be the Old Santiam Pass. And you start off in the high desert over here in Sisters. You go up and over the Cascades, and by the time that you're said and done with this section, you're over by Detroit Lake on the western side of the Cascades, kind of in a rainforest. It's a beautiful ride, something I'd really been looking forward to for a while, and I had a blast doing it. The first little section of this trip, once you leave Subtle Lake, you take these really awesome gravel roads up through these ponderosa forests, and I just love these things. The way that they're spaced out, and it just looks so neat and clean. The whole way that you're driving, you're able to look left and right, and you can kind of see back down into the valleys. If you look over here, you can actually see some of the videos that I took a couple weeks ago. That mountain up there is actually Cache Mountain, if you've seen some of those other clips. We attacked it from the other side coming up. Way off on the side there, you can also see Mount Washington. From here, it's pretty fun. You just kind of bop around at your own pace. If you like to go pedal to the metal, then go for it. It's also a really relaxing ride to just kind of cruise and check out the scenery. Things from here are going to kind of start to work their way up into the higher elevations. So after this little section, it's going to start getting a little more dense. You'll come across some of these cool little lakes, and there's campsites all around these things, and they're really pretty. So even if you're not camping, just to stop in and have a snack or enjoy them for a few minutes along the way, there's plenty of them around. So it's definitely a really pretty part of the trip as you work your way up towards Santiam Pass. After a little while here, you start to gain some elevation when you're heading up towards Santiam Pass. And to me, this is one of the coolest parts of the trip. You can see that things really start to change. The trees get a lot mossier, and you can tell that now you're starting to get into that area that's up in the clouds during those big storms and holds a lot of that moisture during the winter. I love being able to zip through the trees. This little section over here is actually kind of cool. We came down here, the whole family, a handful of years ago. You see all these big stumps there. We were just driving our Jeep through here, just exploring, and this whole section was covered by those trees, just downed, and it was completely impassable. It was bizarre. It's pretty impressive how you can see entire mountainsides like that just get taken out during certain snowstorms in the winter. Things were a little smoky out this day. You can see how it's a little hazy up there. Once you get kind of over Santiam Pass a little bit, it will spit you out over here by one of the snow parks, and you do have a little bit of highway driving before it kind of sticks you back on some of the trails over here. As you can see, we've officially passed over Santiam Pass here, and just look at how green it is in here. The trail will kind of jump back and forth between gravel and pavement here a little bit. It doesn't last all that long, and the pavement's pretty fun anyways. I was over here looking at this lake, and then boom, look at that. Holy dog. It would be pretty easy for me to sit here and say, holy cow, you need to keep that dog on a leash. But I'll take full responsibility there. I was looking at that lake, and lesson learned. Don't look around unless you're going to stop next time, because you don't know what's coming at you. As soon as I got around the corner from where those folks were camped out, it was really apparent that we were on the western side of the Cascades now. And just look at this vegetation. Look how green this is. It felt like you were driving through a fairy tale. Eventually, we came across this one little bridge here, and I didn't really think too much of it until I took a look down, and holy cow, you could just see that it was beautiful down there. Fortunately, there was actually this little access off here to the right of it, so I, of course, couldn't help myself and made my way down to go check it out, and what I saw just blew my mind. It was probably the prettiest part of the entire trip. I was so glad that I stopped. After about a 10 or 15 minute stop here, I took in the views, had a little something to eat, and it was time to keep on keeping on. With that, I pointed her back down the road, and it was off to Detroit Lake. It wasn't too long before we spit ourselves out on the pavement here, and you could see Detroit Lake on your left. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't enjoying this section, despite the fact that it was hardtop. This little road was really twisty and a lot of fun, and ultimately I eventually ended up down here at the boat ramp at one of the campgrounds for the lake. And man, I really wish that I could have stopped and jumped in here. Unfortunately, I needed to get my butt back home, so I couldn't. So I didn't really have time to stop, but at this point I'd made it to my destination, and it was a beautiful ride, super fun, and now it's time to start making the trek back to Bend.